numbers. I think it's important for us to also look at for the importance of these teachings. When we say teachings, we cannot have the teaching without the place. So we come here to learn about the Spirit Center. So we entitled this The Importance of the Spirit Center. But in fact, it's the importance of the teachings that the Spirit Centers provide to us. So we wanted to finalize this meeting on a positive note. And discussing with Leo, so I said, look, I'm going to bring some of those definitions that we already learned from the higher spirituality about the main goal of this place, and also of the teachings. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm not going to come in here and define what's the mission or what is the objective of the Spirit Center. So the question is, what is a Spirit Center? Okay? So we're going to take from Emmanuel, Kardec, and Bezerra de Menezes. Emmanuel says, it is a school where we can learn and teach, sow goodness and reap the blessings, become a better person and help others to improve themselves on the eternal path. This was published in 1951 in the magazine The Reformer, about what it is the Spirit Center. So here, Kardec is already telling us that a place like this is not to come here, sit and listen, but also is for everybody. For the person that's here in front, that also needs to do the homework. You know, nobody's going to come here and just like, you know, just speak without previous preparation. At the same time, we do our homework, we also learn, and we share this information with you. But above all, is a place to sow goodness, you know. And, you know, if you sow goodness, reap, supposedly, the blessings of what we have sowed. And lastly, to improve ourselves. You know, Emmanuel say, look, if we come here and you don't identify any improvement after, I don't know, some amount of time or a couple of years, then there is something wrong. With whom? Probably with the environment, probably with the, you know, what we bring here or is not clear enough. But also we need to be responsible to apply this teaching in our daily life. Also, in the guidelines to the Spirit Center published by the Brazilian Spirit Federation, we find it is a school for spiritual and moral education by leading us to work on our own personal growth through our self-discovery. So if we come here to the center, or if you read these books, the Spirit's teaching, and we don't see any improvement, self-improvement, there is something wrong. Either the way you're reading or the message is not clear. It is expected that when we study, when you read, we not get the message at first. But here is not only read, it's really like strive to understand and further put in action, put in practice. So Bezerra de Menezes says that the Spirit Center is the basic education / school, because I translate this from Portuguese, of the popular mind. So what does mean, the popular mind, or the people's mind? So is the Spirit Center a basic education or school of the popular mind? So I found this interesting because this was a message that was brought through Chico from Bezerra de Menezes, and was published in a newspaper in the city of Arara. I don't know if it's São Paulo, countryside of São Paulo. And it was a message, and among other things, he mentioned that the Spirit Center is this basic place that is main goal is through education of the mind. That's very interesting because majority of our, I would say, concern, our problems, our challenge is generating our minds. So I found this is very nice. And this go, because education, when we talk about education, we are talking about what? In Spiritism, Kardec says education, not intellectual education, but moral education, not moral education through books, but that which consists in the art of forming character, that which create habit, because education is the sum of acquired habit. So the education we are talking here is not the education that we learn in schools. So we could just highlight this. Education is the sum of acquired habit. Well, in order for us to change our habit, what we need to do it? First, we need to understand which kind of change we want. First, we need to understand, acknowledge, of course. Okay, for example, I have a habit to be late to my appointment. An example. How can we change this habit? First, as Yasko mentioned, we need to acknowledge I have this weakness. So how can I improve this? How can I work on this? You know? Then you make like a schedule. You know, if you are the one that, you know, always arrive 10 minutes late, try to arrive 5 minutes late, and then 1 minute, and then one day you arrive in time, and one day you arrive 5 minutes before. So you need to create a system and follow the system in order to change this habit. So we all have weakness. We all have. So we can identify which are our weakness and work toward those weaknesses. So when Bezerra mentioned about this education of the mind, and then we come with Kardec, and Kardec made this comment on the question 685, and the question is about retirement. You know, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. And then after this question, you know, what we should do after we're retired. So because we all here is mature people now, you know, some of you are retired, others is going to move to retirement in a couple decades from now, except Raphael, that's going to take a little longer. So Kardec asked the question, what, you know, is the goals of retirement? And then after the Spirit answer, there is this comment, like about 1 page and about comment. And one of the things that Kardec mentions about education. You know why? Because sometimes we retire and then you think we are done. You know what I mean? Oh, you know, I'm just go to the beach, as Leo mentioned, just enjoy life. And then we forget that we had a lot to learn. And that's why he mentioned about education, that, you know, you might reach your 60s or your 70s, and you still have to be educated how to change certain habit. Okay? So I'm going to skip that. I'm going to read. Okay, what is Spirit Center? This is in this book, Dimension of Spiritual Center. So Sueli Calder Schubert, the Spirit Center is more than a physical headquarters. In fact, it is a spiritual complex in which the two planes of life work together, the incarnates and discarnates. As such, the precautions and care of the enlightened spirits are immense, and we highlight, in regard to the planning and the organization of the Spirit Center. So we think that this place just have incarnate people. In true, everywhere, not in the Spirit Center, but in the Spirit Center has a great amount of discarnate as well. They come here with two purposes. One, to improve themselves on the other side, and the other one to help us as a more evolved ones that help us to the process of healings. The same way that we come here incarnate, we come here to learn, we come here to help, we come here also to receive treatment. So to finalize this part, the Spirit Center is more than just a place to study. This, I think André Luiz mentioned this, I didn't put the reference here. It's a place to pray, learn, grow, collaborate, and work for the benefit of others. It is often said that the Spirit Center is a home, a workshop, a school, a hospital, and a temple all in one. So this is some activity that Spirit Center must go have. I would say must because there is some of them that is mandatory. But some of them, if you don't have everything, but there is a couple of them that's mandatory. Public meetings is not mandatory, okay? But we devote this, a day for that. But all Spirit Center that I know has a public meeting. Fluid therapy, mandatory. What is fluid therapy? Passes in magnetized water. Classes and the study group, I would say mandatory. Because if we don't have guidelines, how we can conduct a institution. Mediumship session, mandatory. Because any other place out there can have a study group, and we can call whatever we want, but a Spirit Center. Because the Spirit Center must have a mediumship meeting. Because what the Spirit Center has different from other institutions is that here we study the origin, the nature, the destiny of the spirit, and the relationship between the two planes. All other institutions can study some of this, but not the relationship. Like if you go to the university, they can study, trying to find out the origin of the human beings. They have their theories over there, but they don't spend much of their time trying to understand the communication of spirit, because it's not in their domain. So in Spirit Center, you're going to find mediumship session. There is an institution that just studies mediumship, doesn't go and study other component. So it is a spiritualist institution, but not a spiritist institution. Fraternal assistant, of course. If we don't offer this work, that is be here to listen, because we all go through ups and downs. So we need to welcome, it's a place to welcome anyone that is suffering, that needs to have, need a hand to continue. Very important, children, if we have children, youth, study, we need to offer this work to our community. Above all, community outreach. Any way that you can help someone that's in need is required. It's kind of mandatory for us. Why it is important? Because when we devote ourselves to help others or to think the ways to help others, we forget about our sorrows, or we forget about our pain. Because now our focus is not me or we only, but others that may go to a more difficult situation than us. Kardec mentioned that the Spirit Center has to have these three aspects: work, solidarity, and tolerance. Work because it's like Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace, but I come to bring the sword. The sword is not in the sense of go and kill people, but it's the sense that will take us out from the comfort zone. You need to work. You need to work. We need to identify our weakness, our vices, and work to overcome those. So it's very important. Self-discovery, inner transformation demands work, isn't it? Change a habit, bring work to us, isn't it? If you are those kind of people that like to wake up late in the morning, and now you find a job that you need to be a job at 7 a.m., so you need to change, and it's not easy. But, education is the main tool. Solidarity. We must be solidary to one another, even with those that are not in our arena of thought. Tolerance. Well, there is no explanation about it's second nature. We must be tolerant. Why? Because we are in different levels of evolution. We need to understand that not everybody is equal or think alike or think the way that I think. So we need to exercise these virtues. But then Joana de Angelis comes later and says that we can add more on this triangle. So also the Spirit Center, the Spirit teaching is here to empower. to empower. For example, if you have a life that you are always fearful, we always, have some of problem that you think that, oh, who I am? I'm nothing. God doesn't look at me. So by reading and studying Spiritism, we empower us to understand that we are children of God. We are capable to be whatever we want to be. To study. Without study, we can't move on. We need to understand the divine laws. We need to understand the natural laws. And because the study is the first step. The second would be put in practice. And finally, to humanize. What it means, humanize, is to become more sensitive. Sensibility toward one another. Because when we don't have this sensibility, we become animals. Like, even animal has sensibility, but we don't create the empathy with the difference, So, and nowadays, a big deal, equality, gender equality, race, all these things, Spiritism come and break those prejudices. So we need to humanize. We need to become this individual that we are not the most special one on the earth. Now I wanted to stop, and because of time, but I wanted to give opportunity for you. We are a small group here, and I just put 3 questions, and you just go brief. You don't need to answer all the questions. But if you feel like answer one of these questions, I will hand you the microphone, and we can share this with one another. Don't be shy. The first one is how the Spiritist teaching have affected your life. It is important for us to ask this question. The second, can you see any change after you began to attend the Spiritist meeting? If yes, explain it. Feel free to share if you want. How important is the Spiritist teaching for you? We have 3 questions here, and if you wanted to either answer all the 3, you can. If you just pick one. The only thing, be brief, because our time is already, but I think it's important for us to recognize or to identify how helpful come here and devote this 1 hour and a half or 3 hours, depends how many times you come to the center. And the other times that you spend at home reading or watching talks or listening talks, you need to do a check and balance in the sense that, okay, I'm spending time here with this teaching. So are you tracking? It's not because we wanted to make any statistic studying here, in any cases, but it's important for us to stop and to do this evaluation. We do this every year, isn't it? And then we create what we call resolutions for the new year. Lose weight, stop this, stop that. But will you also stop at some time in your life and try to do this evaluation about what you have learned in your life, specifically relate to the Spiritist teachings? So that would be my 3 questions for you. If you feel like, I'll hand the microphone. I'll be there.
Thank you, Daniel. I will be brief. Number 1, how the Spiritist teachings have affected my life. I will put it in one word: hope. Hope in the future. Hope in my spiritual future and in the future of humanity. Therefore, I'm being more optimistic and joyful and trust really in God and the loves of God. Can you see any change? Yes. Maybe you don't, but I am. Yes, I feel that I connect better with people and more empathetic. Is that a word? inquisitive, and I want to learn more. I want to continue moving forward because I recognize how little I know and how much round I need to walk. And the Spiritist teachings are paramount for me, the center of my life. So from the Spiritist teachings, I develop all the other areas in my life.
And I endorse her words. And I think the hope and the strength to keep on fighting the daily challenges. Because I think through the way, like every day when you go to work, you can tell people so negative, so without hope, without any purpose, what am I going to do? That's like, what? You're going to, they see a pregnant lady, they say, what? How brave you are. You're going to put another being. This for me, and I am always the one that say, yes, she's right, because that shows that God has hope in mankind. So it's one more child that come for us to celebrate life. So you can tell, and you feel like, I feel like, oh my God, you don't know half of because not that I know everything, as Alba says, we still need to learn, but I think how refreshing it is to come here on Monday, have the little lecture, give the passes, make the prayer. For me, that's fundamental. And as she said, we don't know everything. However, the little we know, we treasure. So my wish for 2019 would be that more people get to know. The problem is it's so important, it's so serious that you cannot tell to everybody exactly, all your wishes, that, he doesn't suffer, but he opens his hair, his head, and start to look in another direction. And because some people, they cannot even understand, the beginning. It's like, all you can do is prayer for that person because she suffers, but she cannot come out of the problem. It's a problem.
The third one, how important is the Spiritist teacher for you? For me, has been to better cope with the trouble that we all have in life.
Anybody else?
I feel I see things that was kind of negative because of the suffering, or because people are different, because people cannot get what I say. What seems to me seemed in early times more negative, I see now almost as, although I joke, it's beautiful really. It shows that we are here, although we look similar, we still are in different stages. I may be good, I get it, some aspect of life, but I am lagging behind in another aspect. That person that I was criticized this side, it was way ahead of me. And I think now I feel more comfortable to not to try to fix the situation, which you think you're here to fix the situation, to tell the person, look, there's a better way for you to get out from this suffering. But sometimes it's not up to you to do that. So this gives some kind of comfort. You may say once, but you don't need to wait for a result. Why you felt frustrated if you didn't have a result? Or the result may be next incarnation. That's what is a big relief, especially with our family members that are so close and we want them to get it, to fix it, not to suffer anymore. But those are their stage. So we have to let them, each one, including us, to have our time. God has the whole time that we human beings think, no, the time is short. No, we have the whole eternity to fix that. Not that we have to get stuck. We cannot get stuck. But we will have other opportunities in many, many incarnations ahead. Together.
I will say the word, but don't get in conflict, okay? War. War with myself. And I'll explain a little bit. I recently start a study on business ethics, and we have been studying a lot of theories, a lot of ideals, ways of life, a lot of people that guided us through philosophy, which is one of the components of Spiritism. And I found interesting on how my perception to certain cases, certain areas that we were studying, I was responding to, right? Some in through the religious point of view of Spiritism, but much more in the rational way, right? The consequences of acts, the consequences of our wishes, our wants, and in general. And that is to describe a little bit the idea of war. War in the sense that the old being, trying to resist the regenerative way of life that we come in contact with Spiritism. When we look at it and say, well, just as Yashko said, if I do this, there will be a lot of consequences, not only in this life, but as well in the future lives. So anything that I do now will help construct already my future. So I think that's the way that Spiritism is affecting my life. The teachings is to be always on guard in a good way. Sometimes it can be it takes a lot of energy, effort, but it's in a good way because it's we're bettering ourselves. But to say no to the old things and say yes to new things, new habits, new ideas, refreshing ideas that perhaps all of us will be able to benefit in the future. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, everyone. So I think I agree with everyone here, and I believe that those that didn't say anything probably agree as well. You have repeated everything. So it's. I think there is no secret. I mean, like any place we go, like let's forget about the Spirit Center, but if you go to the university or if you take a training, is expect that we put that in practice, okay? So it's kind of second nature, common sense. Why we come here? We need always to ask this. So what we have individual answers for that, okay? But I think one thing that really is gonna help to change humanity or our family is our examples, is our actions, So I can come to the Spirit Center for 40 years, 50 years, but at the end, when the time comes to go to the other side, if we are not putting this in practice, so why we come here? Why we take this training or take this course, So when you go to drive ed, it's expect that you're going to learn how to drive, isn't it? So no one is going to go to drive ed just because. There is an expectation that you're going to get a car and you're going to drive. So it's the same thing why we come here every week. Those that come every week or every meeting. We should ask this question to ourselves. To finalize this week, something happened in my work, and we know that in Spiritism, you should not put yourself in the spotlight, but because this is a moment of sharing, I want to share this with you. So a coworker, very early in the morning, was Friday, came to me and said, we had like a group meeting the day before. And so we did some personality test to identify what kind of personality you have. Of course, those tests is not 100% accurate, but they give to you at least like, I don't know, 70, 80%. And I agree with my result that what I came over there in the result has a lot to do with me. And this coworker came to me, and I was like, was early in the morning, I was even surprised. I cannot claim this me. Probably this is the Spirit's teaching that I'm trying to put in practice. But inside of me, I said, I'm not this person that she's telling me. And she came to me and said, look, I was really surprised because your result was the most accurate among everybody. Because you can lie, and then you seems that, you're a good person, you behave well, but, the way you show up, the way that you act is really the way you are. So, and I was very sincere in my answers. And she said, I said, how come, how do you think the personality test match with the result, with me, my day-to-day, in my work? I said, look, you all the time you are kind of the peacemaker of our group. You always see both sides. You're always calm. I was like, you don't know me. But that's what I try to do it. So even if you are not what you try to show, but if you continue do it, one day becomes second nature, become habit. So and she said, look, your result was the one that matched with you, because some of my colleagues, she said, some of people over there, they have a result that is not quite what we see in the day-to-day. So I didn't become like, I was happy because when someone make a compliment to you, you should take it with happiness, because it's not it's not a self-evaluation, it's someone outside evaluating you. And I know that she was not like trying to impress me because, what she's gonna gain. I'm not her boss. I'm not her, I'm just a co-worker. So I'm the same level for her. And she said that, and I was like, when I went back to my office, I was like, I need to attribute this to some, not only me, but I need to attribute this to some studying that I've been doing. Because a lot of time you feel like punch someone in the face, but you don't do it. You just like, you don't revenge, you just like act instead of react. And I'm gonna tell you, that's something that I attribute this to Spiritism, to the Spirit's teaching. It's like when you feel that the guy cut you off when you drive, or speed up and you wanted to go after, or put the high beam in the guy when the guy is put the high beam behind you. So when you feel and you don't do it, if you have done before, is a parameter to measure how much you have changed. Even if you feel, but I should not do it because it's not the right thing to do. So I think these small things. Don't make the evaluation expecting big change. So make the evaluation expecting small change. Because one day, when you look at back, all this small change that you do it, become you. You become a new person, become this new regenerated man or woman, or whatever gender you want to take, person. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. That is my final sharing with you, that we are not perfect. I'm not perfect. And what my coworker saw in me is not the perfection, but she was evaluating a result with the action. And she might think maybe Daniel lie in his test. But the fact is, I don't feel I lie. I just be sincere. And I was the only one that has that characteristic. Majority of my team, like 50%, has the same characteristics. It's those kind of people that's very competitive, that they wanted to, they are very like fight back. And I don't. I just evaluate the situation. You want to fight back with me, you're going to fight by yourself, because I'm not going to stay in this level. So I'd always try to see the other side. Even sometimes the other side is not, I don't agree, but recognize that we are different, as Yasko mentioned, that we are in different level, I think is already a step for us to change humanity, to change ourselves first, and then to be an example for humanity. We need to have this approach. That's the approach Jesus brought to us. That's the approach we have learned with the big prophet, is always be peaceful and not retaliate, not revenge, never. And always be ready to forgive, to move on, and to understand that we are all brother and sister. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you, Leo, so much for the financial disclose. I would like to make a comment on the financial disclose of a Spirit Center. Every time there is an institution, can be any denomination, educational, charitable, church, that is inserted in a society, we have the obligation to comply with the rules and regulations or with the law of that society. So for the first moment, we create a group of people, and this group of people moved to an organization that was incorporated under the laws of this society. Is our obligation to comply with the law is telling us to do it. So, as we learn, we should give to Caesar what is Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. So, we are incarnate. We need to have this meeting to disclose our financial situation in respect to two components, to the government, to the society that has the laws, and to respect of you that help in any capacity you help, like financially, with your work, with the cleaning. Very important. We observe everything, and one of the things that is very important in the Spirit Center is the cleaning. Because write a check and sweep the card over there in the back, it's very easy. It's easy. Easy. It's the most easy one kind of donation. But devote the time here, and we have seen that some of our members has been very diligent in cleaning the center, make sure that everything is organized in the chair, because the cleaning the physical world and with our mind, because when you are here, you're not thinking about bad stuff. You are like worry about make this place welcomed to everyone. So by keep the mind in that frequency, you are helping to create an environment that when we discarnate, then is the time to see, you know what I mean? How much we're gonna gain. So don't take for granted. Don't take for granted the cleaning. Don't take for granted remove the trash, because this, before God's law is more or equal importance if you give money. If you give money, because you are giving your time, and you are helping with the environment of the physical plane. So it's part of our, responsibility as member, as someone that has been received a lot, from this teaching. Thank you. Let us do our prayer and.